Let's go here on Bonfire Midweek. Can you believe it? It's already the 16th episode of our midweek show here on Bonfire Sports. Darren Bombing, pleased to be joined by, it's this way, the man to my virtual right, the Schnitz, Zach Schnitzer. What's going on, man? How was your week? How was your celebration post Banjo Bowl and of course post game day after dark here on the channel?
Well, my celebration has just continued, buddy. Like, I've been wearing the chain ever since. No, I haven't been wearing the chain ever since. That would actually hurt my neck, dude. Like, seriously, it would hurt my neck. It's heavy. It's not actually heavy, but no, man, it's been great. You know, I gotta say though, the win has been slightly tarnished as more and more has come out of what was happening in the Riders' locker room with this pirate. A little bit tarnished because I didn't realize how many of their players were sick and you know, things coming out of both ends. They were using more than one bathroom. Hey Hadley, how you doing, buddy, from the left coast? They were using a bunch of bathrooms at IG Field, Darren, but you know, I still think we would have pumped them. I just think our offense was just so on point. And I'll talk about that later with our sober second thought, buddy. But tarnished a little bit, but you know what? I I'm in a happy place, man. 12-1. People cannot stop talking about the atmosphere.
It was awesome.
The atmosphere at IG Field that day, buddy. Like, it's just a perfect football day. Just a touch of autumn in the air, but also nice and hot, you know, like what a great day. And you know, now the Riders have a chance to eliminate Edmonton. Which CFL.ca neglected to mention. They're the guy who left them at the altar, buddy, Chris Jones, who's running a clown show over there for my money. They have a chance to eliminate him, which then sets up an interesting scenario we could talk about later about a certain team to the left of us crossing over, trying to be a home Grey Cup team against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. So that's where I'm just looking forward now. I'm now done with Banjo Bowl. It's over. So much to talk about, buddy. How are you?
Yeah, no, doing good. That was just a fun game to talk about. It was a great football weekend here in Winnipeg. The Winnipeg Rifles came away with a victory over another nationally ranked opponent, Rifle Up. Of course, they're the junior football program affiliated with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and their official feeder system from junior ball. But yeah, they're looking super strong. Of course, the Bombers putting up a 50 burger on the Saskatchewan Roughriders. You know, I heard people in from Saskatchewan had a good time, other than maybe the result being so hugely in their disfavor, but overall they had a good time. Weather was good. You're right. It is starting to feel a little bit fall in the air, a little crispy. I know the kids are back to school and the rest, but this is football weather, right? The NFL kicked off. We're going to talk a little bit about a special surprise a little bit later in the show about NFL. But the Winnipeg Jets are back on the ice, at least the young stars. Go hang out on our Bonfire Sports Instagram. Fresh Winnipeg Jets video content on our Instagram story. You can follow us on Instagram at bonfire.sports. There'll be lots of stuff there all season long, so be sure to check that out. And more announcements coming here for exciting new things on Bonfire this coming hockey season. But lots to get to on the show today. Obviously, we're going to go through some serious lineup changes for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, getting some guys back, some guys unable to play this coming week, it appears. We'll wait for that depth chart on Friday. Chris Walby will join me, as always, the day before the game, live 3 p.m. Here on Game Day Winnipeg. You and I, of course, will break down the game post-game as we always do. A trip to Hamilton that Mike O'Shea says, hold on a second, Hamilton is a lot better than their record. We'll take a quick trip around the Canadian Football League. It was an interesting week 14 that was. And then, of course, look ahead to week 15 and some interesting numbers on Sports Interaction. Of course, you can always get in on the action. Nice bonus over there if you sign up with our exclusive link, sia.com/bonfire. Healthy bonus, NFL, NHL, CFL props and futures. You can put a little something down on the Bombers to win the Grey Cup, or lots of different things like that, as well as your usual NFL and NHL goodies going into the season. Looking forward to that as well. We'll talk about clinching scenarios, give away some more prizes. We got more prizes to give away here on the show. We've got winners for our Blue Bomber mug. Hang on a second. Do I got it here?
Ooh,
Here's
yes,
our new Blue Bomber mug.
finally.
So Jason Gilmore won this mug, and he just sent me a text. I think it was Jason. I have to check. But he said, "That's awesome. It's my dad's birthday coming up." Hopefully dad isn't watching on YouTube right now.
Sweet. Yeah, we don't want to ruin the surprise.
Both big Bomber fans, and happy to win that prize. And then, of course, remember these? Of course, all of these prizes, courtesy of The Sports Vault. Check them out at thesportsvault.com. Winnipeg company making awesome, officially licensed merchandise. These Bomber glasses are going to Reed Maddox. Congratulations to Reed. Jason.
Give me some whiskey. Of course, TSB stuff available at Fanatics, Amazon, and of course the Bomber store. What have you gotten there?
Well,
by the way, Tina's here. Tina, I'm so glad you're here.
Oh, good to see you, Tina.
I said it on the post game. So sorry for your loss, and I'm glad to see you here. We love you, Tina, and we're with you. Anything you need, we should probably. I mean, she is always awesome. Like wherever Tina goes, there's a mob of like fans, not only Bomber fans, but at the Grey Cup, you see fans from all over the country surrounding her, and she is a real celebrity and also a football player. And I also saw a guy named Troy Klink on here from Grand Rapids, Michigan. Welcome, Troy. That is a super awesome. Just one more shout out. When we were at the Finn McCool's party pre-Banjo Bowl, my buddy Alexander, who's on our Bonfire Starters DM chat group, at Lothus25, him and his buddy Lance and some other guy, I forget his name. He was wearing a Lawler jersey, but said he wasn't a CFL fan. Alexander, great guy. He was away from the wife and his daughter for the whole weekend, and he was just getting warmed up, Darren. I didn't see him again until the Banjo Bowl at halftime, and I said, "Hey, Alexander," but I think he was into a few pops at that point. So him and Lance were staggering down the concourse. But great to meet you, Lance, at the party on Friday, and awesome time. Apparently, Andre Harms saw me in 128, but you got to stand up and wave next time. I want to meet you.
Yeah, it's great. The community that we've witnessed here through Bonfire Sports has been pretty awesome. I got a chance to talk to Tina at practice on, well, not today, but yesterday, Tuesday. New showtime here on Bonfire Midweek, so be sure to join us every week now moving forward, Wednesdays at 7:30. So screwing me up a little bit as we change things up now that we're into the second season of the CFL post-Labor Day. No more Thursday games moving forward. But yes, this is a surprise. We'll give that. What are you doing?
What's I'm trying to tell Steve he's trying to get me to remind everybody how much this chain cost. Was
40 bones.
40 bones.
Can't you type in? You can type in the live chat, can't you?
I don't know how. Let's see.
Of course you can.
Oh, it says
love everybody joining us
private chat.
In the live chat. So many familiar friends and new people. Welcome to Bonfire Midweek. So yeah, again, we're going to get into that. Thesportsvault.com. And as you mentioned, you can find their stuff at the Bomber store, Amazon, Fanatics, Shoppers Drug Mart, like everywhere. Gregory Liverpool just bought, like, you have your big chain.
Yeah.
Gregory just bought like a big Blue Bombers luggage tag for a trip.
Oh, I saw that. Yes,
in the spring. But sorry about this. Well, first of all, oh no, see, you just sent me a private chat.
Well, how do I make it a public chat?
Well, I don't know. Like, maybe
text you anytime.
I don't know. Yeah, no kidding. But congratulations to Cody Fajardo, who had a baby this week. But he's on the cover of these boxes. These are the new Upper Deck CFL cards we've been opening up courtesy of Joe Daly Sports Cards and Custom Framing. Go check them out on St. Mary's Road. Awesome place to just hang out and talk sports. Joe, his son Travis, all types of fun people and friendly people there. We made so much money on our first box of cards, selling cards to like Stamps and Riders fans. And big shout out to Cade at Bomber History on Twitter, who helped me sell some of those. So we're reinvesting that money. We're going to open another box of cards. And then when I get like maybe a full set or all of these Bombers cards, we'll give them away as a prize here on the channel. But what else we got to get to?
Yeah, I met Kate in the bathroom. Well, we're also gonna like a few games ago, I met Kate in the bathroom. He's like, "Hey, your schnitzer?" Like I was peeing, and he's
your schnitzer's out.
Yeah, it was out. Good memories at the trough, right? Anyway, we should mention the trough every show just because it's so legendary. I see people who have souvenirs like the seats and stuff, but I never see anybody with the trough. Anyway, I met him in the bathroom, and it's a good place to meet anybody, right? And he's like, "I'm Blue Bomber history, Cade," and now we've got this whole racket with cards. I know you were telling me about hanging out at Joe Daly's after practice one day. I'd like to go check it out, and shout out to our friend Hustler who was in the Princess Auto spot at the Banjo Bowl, and he saw me do the Schnitzer stair climb, and of course to his mom and dad who I sit behind, just beautiful people. We always give each other a high five. And how many high fives did we give? Oh man, how many touchdowns did we have, Darren?
54 I lost track.
Points,
all I know
54 is burger.
Yeah, Zach Kolaris, 7 possessions, 7 scores. Him and Willie Jefferson, who, by the way, I gave my game ball to here on After Dark, both named CFL top performers this week, both rightfully so. And do need to mention, so Joe Daly, I failed to tweet what I told Joe and Travis I was going to tweet, and that was last night, Adam Lowry, the Winnipeg Jets, was there signing autographs. So Joe's is another great place you can go to see your favorite Jets players and things like that. I'm not sure if they've had Bombers players, but go see Joe. And keep locked. I think they got a Twitter account. Go check them out. Find them. Classic Winnipeg sports landmark in the city is Joe Daly Sports Cards. Okay. What do we want to get to?
The other thing is we want to talk about a Ring of Honor. So I got to give a shout out to Steve Maria, who I sit beside. I'm not sure if I'm saying your last name.
Let's get the debate going now.
Yeah. So he had a great question during Banjo Bowl. The game was already over. We were up like 3 touchdowns. And he says, Zach, like, here's a great topic. What if we debate who amongst this current dynastic Bombers team, who I would argue are on the precipice of a dynasty, if they're not already there, folks, which of them will be on the wall of honor, in the Ring of Honor, in IG Field in 2032, in 10 years? Which of these players, and we can include players that have been on the team recently, like Andrew Harris. So which of these players are like a lock to be on the Ring of Honor? Which
jump into the comments right now. Jump into the comments right now.
Thing. I looked at the Bomber website, some of the stuff by Ed Tate and Rand Marcoux. Like the Ring of Honor isn't just a good player, folks. The Ring of Honor, you think about people like Fritz Hansen, Jack Jacobs,
yes,
Ken Plain, Doug Brown, Bob Cameron, right? Yeah. These are people who are not only amazing players, they were all-stars multiple times.
Milt Stegall. They set CFL records. Jerry James,
right? They're Herb Gray. They're guys that are in the Hall of Fame, both Manitoba Hall of Fame, Winnipeg Sports Hall of Fame, Bombers Hall of Fame, CFL Hall of Fame, Bud Grant, who had great success.
I'll correct you. Canadian Football Hall of Fame.
What did I say?
CFL.
Oh, sorry. Canadian Football Hall of... Sorry, you're right. I've never been there, actually. But
anyway.
Hamilton.
Yeah.
So, I mean, these... And even if they don't have all the decorations, someone like Herb Gray, he was on the team, the four Grey Cup teams, not necessarily an all-star, Darren, but he was the captain of the team. He was the glue guy. That's from what I understand in Ed Tate's article. So these are guys that are absolute all-stars and people that change the landscape of the CFL in some cases. You talk about Jack Jacobs, the house that Jack built, right? So you can't just say, Darren and I were talking, and I see Tamara saying, Drew Wolotarski. Well, Drew Wolotarski's a great player, don't get me wrong. But
Mm-hmm.
Darren was like, no, not Drew Wolotarski. Because here's some nice cards here, Darren. But you got to
Nice.
think about people that literally changed the landscape of the CFL, set records like Milt Stegall, right? What'd you
Oh,
get? Oh,
we got a game-worn Shaq Johnson. Nice
nice.
Canadian player there.
And they do not have to be Canadian, Phyllis. No, they do not have to be Canadian. By the
That's
way,
awesome.
Sandy was asking who the CFL sack leader is. I just looked it up. It's Lorenzo Malded from Ottawa.
He is mauling
He's a
people.
Sean Burke guy from Hamilton. He was very good last
Like that.
year on that defensive line, so he's moved over to Ottawa, one of the bright spots for a team that is really sinking fast and sort of falling behind the pack. So do we want to start with our Ring of Honor discussion, Darren, or do we want to go around the
Quickly.
league?
Well, people are already chiming
You're the
in, and
maestro.
love to see everybody chiming in there. Let's quickly go around the CFL. The week that was in week 14, super fast. Alouettes win over the BC Lions quite convincingly, 31-10. Can BC figure things out enough to stay relevant in the West Division? Can Vernon Adams, who will get his first start this week upcoming in Calgary, can he make it happen for BC? That's my big question.
It's a great question, and it's a tough place to start, right, Darren? Although, as we've noted in the past, Calgary surprisingly gives out the most passing yards in the CFL.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that Vernon Adams likes to sling it. His average depth of target is ridiculously high, like more than double. Most CFL quarterbacks are what, like 8, 9, 10 yards. His is like 20. But you live by the sword, you die by the sword. We'll see what Vernon Adams could do. I just find he's no she. There's a Ring of Honor candidate, maybe. You think about if he
Ooh.
continues, right? That's kind of on the maybe one for me. I just think VA is he's exciting as heck, but he is too erratic. And I know BC just got Terry Williams, which will amp up their special teams play, but I don't know. I don't see it. I see them playing better than with O'Connor and with Pipkin, no doubt, but I don't
wish
see
we
them.
would have saw more of O'Connor. That's what I really think.
Fair.
We got it, taken away from us, similar to Nathan Rourke. In the second game of the week, the first game on Saturday's triple header, Argos edge the Red Blacks 24-19. Nick Arbuckle and the Paul LaPolice offense did good work, but when it mattered in the final moments, they could not create enough to move the ball into field goal range, or that was on maybe their second last possession. They just couldn't score points when it mattered, especially down to the final possession. Nick Arbuckle, trying so hard, very emblematic or reminiscent of the Paul LaPolice offenses here under Matt Nichols at quarterback, where they would need 11 yards and they'd throw it for 8.
Well,
And
what's the variable there that's remained the same is LaPolice. I hate to say it, but the Ottawa losses, they do just enough to rip defeat from the jaws of victory. And I'm not talking about him as an OC per se, but I'm talking about him as a head coach.
Right.
The iteration of him in 2010, 11, 12, where he was fired probably unfairly by Joe Mack. Everything Joe Mack did was unfair. But now again, right? You can point to all sorts of variables with Ottawa, but they still continue to do Paul LaPolice things. I hate to say, because he's a great guy and a legend in the CFL, Darren. But the question remains, you are what your record is, you are what you do again and again. And yeah, as Troy Klink is saying here, some people are just not meant to be head coaches. And, we were talking earlier, Darren, he just continues to find ways to lose games he should win.
Just to answer John Campbell's question, who's watching us on Facebook. What's going on, John? Thanks for joining us. You're on Facebook. You're on Twitter right now, watching live. Head over to youtube.com/bonfire sports. Give us a thumbs up. Consider subscribing. You can then ring the bell, let you know when we're live doing pregame, postgame, or midweek coverage here. Jet stuff coming as well. But John asking, can the Bombers clinch a berth in the West Final this week with a win? They cannot. What they can clinch is with a win in Hamilton and a Calgary Stampeders loss, the Blue Bombers would secure a home playoff game, at least. That could be the West semifinal. That could be the West final, whatever it would turn out to be. But that's what they can lock down this week. So good question. Appreciate that. People are already starting to ask,
Yeah.
playoffs, let's go.
Well, that's where we're at, buddy.
There's a third of the season left.
We just finished the Labor Day rematch, as they like to call it in Saskatchewan, the Banjo Bowl, and we're already talking about West Final clinching scenarios. Are you freaking kidding me?
Thanks, Larry.
Like, this is why I say dynasty, buddy. This is why we're talking about the Ring of Honor. Dynastic, if we want to use the adjective.
Andrew, we'll get to injury updates in just 1 second.
But yeah, I mean, it's poor Ottawa. I feel bad for them. Everything that's happened.
There's a former Bomber, Donu Numba.
Yeah, that's right. Sam linebacker.
That's right. Oh, another former Bomber, Chad Rempel. And look at that. That's a rare card too. 157 to 166.
And
so following that game, obviously Toronto Ottawa was the Banjo Bowl. We'll get to that in a second. Calgary in the rematch in the Battle of Alberta. Neufeld. Nice.
There's a legend.
This guy I miss in the league, DJ Foster. I think.
Yeah, he just kind of disappeared, eh?
But Calgary in Edmonton. Ooh, Jesse Briggs.
There's an unsung hero. That's a Warrior candidate every week.
Good Bombers pack here.
But yeah, Calgary absolutely obliterates the Elks, embarrasses them.
56-28.
And then Chris Jones is like, who's I'm gonna see who still wants to be on this team. Again, like, I just find that guy to be a complete ass clown, Darren. I was listening to the 3 Down Nation podcast today. I know we have lots to get to, but let me just say this. They were sort of looking at how people in Edmonton were expecting sort of a down year, like when Chris Jones took over in Saskatchewan that first year. He kind of gutted the team. But the difference is, and I agree with the 3 Down guys, is that Edmonton, they were like scratching their heads and beards. Well, Justin Dunk doesn't have a beard, but they were all scratching their heads trying to find, like, who's a bright spot on this team? Who has Chris Jones unearthed that's promising for that future next year? Because everyone is expecting him to do what he did in Saskatchewan.
You mean in Edmonton? Who is he?
In Edmonton. Like, he's traded away Costigan and what was it? David Beard and
Nafis Lyon.
Like, he's traded away guys like nothing. Anybody can be cut any minute.
Well, let's not bury the lead here. They signed Taylor Cornelius to a 2-year contract extension through 2024. So a guy that played in the XFL prior to the pandemic is not going back to the XFL. Dave Naylor tweeted that out about Cornelius's history in the XFL. And I, replied to him and said, if you look at the games Taylor Cornelius played in the XFL, so often he lost the game because he threw an interception in the fourth quarter or in the latter parts of the fourth quarter. So maybe Taylor Cornelius, for stability's sake, likes the CFL, as many players do when they come up here and actually start playing. But Chris Jones has developed Taylor Cornelius. Can he be one of the best quarterbacks in the league? I'm not too sure about that, but I think he can be a reliable starter as Edmonton tries to figure things out. We got to remember they have Trey Ford, the Canadian quarterback, there as well that they're
Right.
trying to develop. So it's 2-3 years down the line, right? It's think of that Winnipeg Blue Bombers model of rebuilding. You were talking to Kyle Walters face to face over a beer, Zach, on Friday
Best
at the
buddies now
Cherry
exchange
Bash.
numbers. No, just
Yeah,
kidding. I didn't
yeah,
exchange numbers.
right.
I didn't even try that.
But
Although he was lit up enough that he might have given me his number. His wife might have intervened at that point. But
I
yeah,
don't
we were
know, but
talking about
lit
culture.
up.
We
Come on,
were talking about culture, right?
right?
You tell me the culture of a Chris Jones team. Waiters here. Duron Carter is still on defense, right? Like, what is the culture of a Chris Jones? I know he has guys that love to play for him, but I mean, it sounds like Tim Burke kind of sound bites, right?
You
He
think so?
really wants to be on this team. Can't win the Kentucky Derby with a mule, just like it's everybody else's fault. I don't know. I could go on and on about Chris Jones. I think it would look great on him for the Edmonton Elks to get eliminated. But that being said, I love their
Well,
fans. I mean, this is a team that was the
nobody
marquee
should
franchise of the CFL, Darren, and the fans are phenomenal fans. They deserve
nobody
to
can
get better.
expect them to go from the season they had last year cleaning house with their roster as well and expect them to be a contending team or a playoff team this year. It's going to take time.
But they've been
Nobody
giving up
should
an
be
average of
surprised that the Edmonton Elks are what they are right now.
34
Nobody.
points a game they've been giving up. They've been embarrassed.
Come on, man. You're literally holding them to a standard. They're
I
trying to
am.
figure it out.
I am. You look at that when Paul LaPolice came in 2010 and they were trying to turn that team around. That 4-14 team, they were
How
in
was their talent?
so many close games.
How was their talent?
Their talent was good. Chris, tell me the talent that Chris Jones has found. Absolute bubkiss, as we like to
Yeah,
say.
but you're talking about existing talent that was on the Blue Bombers in 2009
But
and 2010.
they expected Chris Jones to find some talent, and he's just
Dude,
juggling people around and throwing people around left and
it's been
right.
3 months.
Yeah.
Come on, it's
I
not like we're looking back on 2 seasons. What has Chris Jones done? It's 2/3 of a season.
I
Like,
don't see
come
this
on,
I
man.
don't see this team getting much better next year. I
Dude,
don't see it.
dude. We'll continue this debate through the years, I have no doubt, but I think Chris Jones has shown he can build good football teams. Say what you want about the guy, like him or hate him, whatever. It does take time. Hey, Windog, what's going on? Michael Wynn joining us in the live chat. Good to see you, Winner.
You and me had this meeting last night, like, we gotta go around the league much faster, and here we are, mostly
That's
me,
okay. That's okay.
putting a
So
sandbag on it.
Edmonton in Saskatchewan this coming weekend, Winnipeg and Hamilton, Lions into Calgary with Vernon Adams starting at quarterback, and the Stamps trying to, keep the good feelings going, trying to keep pace with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in the West. Let's talk about the Banjo Bowl. We're going to get, I know a lot of people have been asking, we're going to get into injuries. We're going to get into projected lineups for this Saturday's matinee game in Hamilton. Winnipeg will be looking different. We'll talk about Brandon Alexander, Drew Wolotarski, Stanley Bryant, and the rest, I assure you. But Banjo Bowl, sober second thoughts, Zach.
All right.
Is there need for a sober second thought?
Or
Or
I'll just do
were
it.
they
What?
just that good?
They were that good, but I do want to say a couple things about it. And I rewatched the first half in particular, Darren, and you just saw drive out like the first half literally was, I know you don't like it when I say literally, 4 touchdown drives in a row. And in the Labor Day Classic, one of the reasons it was close was because the Saskatchewan front seven was giving us problems. And you saw Zach having the most success when he had to go outside the pocket. You saw us really struggle to establish the run game, although we kept with it. What does Buck Pierce call in the first 5-6 plays of that first drive, Darren? Pass plays. They were all pass plays. He was doing play action. He was doing screens, just quick curls, getting everybody involved. And I just thought it was just such a brilliant way to start the game because Saskatchewan was on their heels, buddy. They were expecting Brady Oliveira on first down, and it just didn't happen. And you just saw him establish the run with the pass. The first run that Brady Oliveira had was an 18-yard scamper,
Mhm.
right? And just the other thing I saw was that Winnipeg had struggled containing Frankie Hickson, and I was listening to CKR on post game and our post game, and O'Shea talking about all the gaps that Saskatchewan opened up, and that gave the Bombers problems. Their front seven covering up all the gaps, and you saw, and Suter talked about this too. You saw the linebackers and even the front seven stay very disciplined on defense in their gaps. Hickson had 1 big yard on their first touchdown drive in the first half, Darren, where Saskatchewan kept going for it on third down, and kudos to them for going for it on third down a few times.
Mhm.
By the way, they knew that they had to do that. You can't win against the Bombers and kick field goals. I'm hearing a lot of feedback. Is that me or what's going on here? Are you hearing that?
No.
Okay, so it's just me. It's the voices in my head. So I just they had incredible discipline. You saw guys like Shane Gauthier making great tackles,
Yep.
and Casey Sales made a great tackle on Cody Fajardo on a designed run. So I just thought those two things, and Zach Collaros was just on point. But the other guy who got in early, there was a catch that not a lot of people were talking about. It was a second drive, and it was 2nd and 13. And Buck called a trips formation that they hadn't seen from the Bombers. And 88 went down for the catch. This Rasheed Bailey has this ability to pull balls off the turf. He's just incredible at it. His first catch of the game was an incredible effort on first down. It was a short screen that should have been stopped for a loss, and he literally picked it up off the turf and gained 9 yards, dodging and weaving and running over like 3 or 4 riders. So
Yeah.
you saw that he was on fire from the very beginning. And Buck just used the whole field. You saw the Dembski sweep, and then you saw the fake Dembski sweep, and getting Prukop in there on 2nd and 4 for a huge chunk play, and Prukop running it into the end zone, going, I believe at that point was South Dakota. And like they just and then a shout out on defense to Jamal Parker,
Yeah.
who I
Good on
think
you.
that could have been a burning point. Saskatchewan again had a second drive. They were only down, I believe, 20-7, and they were still in the game, and they kept going for it on third down. Again, they were deep in Bomber territory. 3rd and 1. You saw Nick Hallett, who is kind of an unsung hero, contain Fajardo on a designed bootleg. So Fajardo had to throw it. And Jamal Parker timed it perfectly, Darren, and he just at the last second poked that ball out of Kyran Moore's hands. Otherwise, it would have been a first down, and who knows what happens there, right? So, I think people are also forgetting that Saskatchewan played a pretty good first half, even though Winnipeg was so on point, especially considering they were sick. So, I just thought there was a lot of guys doing really well, and Zach just had such patience. He just had he didn't have a ton of pressure in his face. The O-line was really on point. And the last thing I'll say, the best quote I saw was from CFL.ca writer Don Landry on that Rasheed Bailey legendary touchdown where he
The
switches hands,
stretch.
the stretch in midair. And Don Landry said he was landing flight 88, which is, of course, Bailey's number. And
Nice.
like first of all, the blocking on that play, and O'Shea talked about it too, that everybody was blocking great. And Bailey talked about it too, right? Because these guys recognize this is a ultimate team game, right, Darren? And Brandon Orange was there, blocking really well. Dembski blocked. Schoen was blocking.
Bolo nearly had 2 touchdowns, right? Like
Yes, he
got his
did.
first, and people have been asking, who's Bolo? Brendan O'Leary Orange. It's a long name. I like to shorten it with Bolo.
Yeah,
Maybe it'll catch
Bolo's
on. We'll
good.
see.
So he somehow switches hands in midair and basically like Superman flies for 5-6 yards just to brush the cone, like just gently brushing that cone. And yeah, I think that's what the game kind of took off for the Bombers. And so happy for Rashid Bailey to get that love and get, as we called about, the sexy stats, right? And sorry, it was Casey Sales who stuffed Hickson on 2nd and 1, who's a hard to bring down. And so you just saw guys on defense that you have second, third stringers. And the last thing I'll say here is, man, how important is it that Brandon Alexander comes back now? Because they need someone to stabilize that umbrella, those 5 DBs in the back, eh?
Well, on that note, let's get into the injury report.
Yeah.
Because it was not a good week as far as how the Winnipeg Blue Bombers came out of the game health-wise. I'm just going to try to get my screen share going here. But yeah, very positive news, obviously, on Brandon Alexander. Speaking with him this week for the first time in a long time. Talked about getting injured in the Grey Cup, talked about his road to recovery and the rest. We're going to hear from Brandon Alexander on Game Day Winnipeg, Friday, 3 p.m. Chris Welby joins me live, as we always do, for the pregame show here on the channel. But here's the Blue Bombers injury report from today, and today being day 2. You've got Mike Miller, limited. He really hasn't practiced fully in a long time, always plays in the game. Drew Wolodarski has a brace on his knee, did not practice, has not been placed on any, 1 game or 6 game. We'll find that out on Friday when they send out the depth chart, but Drew Wolodarski, very unlikely, I would say, to play this week. Michael Couture, another full practice for him, and he looks ready to return to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers offensive line. Stanley Bryant back to full participation today. On Tuesday, he was not participating, but with the way things looked on that offensive line as far as who stepped in, they just bumped Jeff Gray over, brought in Liam Dobson. That tells me they knew Stanley was going to be okay. Sure enough, Mike O'Shea confirming that it was just a maintenance day for Stanley Bryant, back on the field today, which is good news. Malik Clements, Teodric Hansen, both non-participants, and I don't expect either of them to be ready to go in the near future. Nick Taylor was missing from practice on Tuesday. He was there on Wednesday, being today, of course, non-participant in a walking boot, another Achilles injury.
Yeah.
Really tough. So he'll likely miss a stretch of time here. We mentioned Brandon Alexander back to full participation, had an interception in 12-on-12 today at practice.
Nice.
And Noah Hallett injured again, and a non-participant. Does not look good for him after really working through major knee issues alongside Brandon Alexander all winter and all offseason and all training camp and through the season so far. To see him nicked up again is just a tough thing.
It's tragic, eh, Darren? Like, it's so tragic. A great Canadian special teamer. He's got his brother on the team. Man.
It stinks when those sorts of things happen. But so for this coming week, we're not going to see Demario Houston or Kyrie Wilson or Malik Clements or Greg Ellingson. Still no Carlton Agadosi. He was in a walking boot when I saw him at practice on Tuesday. No Noah Hallett, no Drew Wolodarski or Nick Taylor. But to get Brandon Alexander back at safety is a huge boon to this Blue Bombers defense. Looking like for Nick Taylor will be American defensive back and kick returner Evan Holm. And then for Drew Wolotarski, looks to be Brendan O'Leary Orange, or the man we affectionately like to refer to as Bolo, coming off of his first touchdown of his CFL career, which was awesome. And his dad, of course, longtime
Yes.
CFLer, a running back for the Toronto Argonauts. And this is what was really funny to me, Zach. We asked, like, what did your dad have to say about your touchdown? And I can't remember exactly what he said, but he's like, he essentially said, well, you could have done these things better, or you should have pulled in that second touchdown. So his dad always, the constructive criticism, which I think is pretty cool. But his mom, when he sees him next, will get that touchdown ball with his first.
That's what he said, in the post game. That's great.
Yeah.
And someone, I think it's Tamara, saying she's talked to Greg Ellingson and he said he's coming back soon. So
What does that mean?
inside information. I don't know what soon means, but the receiver group is the group I'm least concerned about in terms of getting healthy. I think they're holding their own, but those DBs, man, wow. Like, you look at the depth of this team. Unbelievable depth. But yeah, that's good info, Darren. It's good to have you in there every day and know what's going on. And Nick Taylor, man, someone said that Fritchie, I think he's a new dad, and that's just rough. Great guy. I had him on my podcast earlier, and just a great guy. And I hate to see that. You see those non-contact injuries, and they always just seem to be the worst kind, eh?
Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah, I mean, it's always scary when a non-contact happens, right? It's like, what happened?
Yeah.
Like, how did that happen? But
do you see them trading for a DB though? DB Fritchie has a great question here. Do the Bombers trade for a DB?
Well, here's the thing: you have to find a team that is out of it.
Yeah.
I'm sure the Bombers would have liked to get their hands on a player like Nafis Lyon from Edmonton, but they did not activate that trade to Winnipeg. This is what I always say when it comes to a team like the Blue Bombers. Who wants to help the Winnipeg Blue Bombers?
Yeah, fair point.
Nobody wants to help the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
BC did last year with the Castillo trade. They didn't need to do that.
Yeah, but BC was out of it at that point, right?
So who's going to be? So look, is there anyone in Edmonton? Or I know I'm putting you on the spot here, but anything?
Dare I say,
Edmonton
Bombers
or Ottawa
for the Riders this week to eliminate Edmonton?
Yeah, is there anyone there we'd take as a DB? I mean,
I don't know.
Certainly not Duron Carter, unless you want a scarecrow back there.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Mike O'Shea will always say, we like our guys.
Of course he will.
But believe me, they are putting in the work, seeing who's available. Americans coming up from NFL camps and cuts and
good point.
Those that were waiting for an NFL opportunity it didn't pan out. They're on those guys. They have pro scouts. They're watching all of the CFL games in extreme detail. If there's a guy out there they think they can get, do you trust Kyle Walters at this point? Here do we stand? What time is it? It's like 8:15 on September 14th, 2022. Do you trust Kyle Walters? Do you trust him yet?
If you don't trust Kyle Walters and the Canadian Mafia by now, and Ted Gavaya and Danny McManus, you're missing a few brain cells, folks. You are missing a few brain cells, and they're gone forever. If you don't trust those guys,
this is a great.
They're like King Midas, right? Everything they touch turns to gold.
Yeah. I'd have to call Kyle Walters for some advice on this. If Bonfire Sports trades me, will Zach Schnitzer host the show?
No, I'm not a host. I'm like the color guy. I don't know if I don't know if I have the executive functioning to host a show.
Well, you're gonna get a bag of deflated footballs from me, so it's gonna be all up to you, man. Or maybe
you can't trade DB. Are you freaking kidding me? You can't trade. That's like trading Kyle Walters.
I've seen weirder things.
Well, the other weird thing is we have the man also known as Reaper here, and his real name, I won't reveal it. Not everybody knows it, but the Reaper's in the house. Not a weird thing, an awesome thing.
Hold on, Reaper.
Yeah, Reaper.
Great to see everybody in the live chat tonight. Awesome numbers here on a Wednesday night, our new night moving forward. Get down below the video. Give us a thumbs up. Consider subscribing and ringing the bell. We appreciate all of that. If you're listening to this afterwards on the podcast, thank you. We appreciate you so very, very much. And then, as we always do, Zach, how do we show our appreciation? We give out some prizes. You want to break in? Should we break into this one?
Let's just before you do that, here's an interesting couple of names from Edmonton as I'm looking at their roster. How about Trista? What's his name here?
Deku?
Deku, you remember that incredible interception he had on, I think that was him, when we played the Elks? I don't know his stats, but he stood out to me when we played the Elks, Treston Deku. And they also have a guy named Ed Gainey. I mean, do the Bombers go after either of those guys?
Right.
Particularly Ed Gainey.
Well, here's the thing. Does Edmonton want a guy like Ed Gainey in their room to teach the young players how to be a pro?
For sure. I think you're right. I think you're right, but maybe
everybody has a price. Everybody has a price.
Well, you look at Zach Collaros, who took a first-round pick.
Well, Zach Collaros was not an active player on Toronto's roster.
I understand, but I think if you're going for a three-peat, you're willing to. I mean, it's kind of like what Chevy did, in 2019 and 2020 and 2018. Getting big names to try and solidify a Stanley Cup roster, and they traded away picks. I think the Bombers are in a position to do that.
Well,
Gainey is having a decent season.
Can I just mention something here? They've been banged up in the defensive backfield all year, right?
Yeah.
They allowed 20 points to the Riders, 18 points the week before. Calgary scored 29 on them. Okay. Montreal scored 20 and 20 in the two back-to-backs against Winnipeg. Now we're going back to July. Calgary scored 28. Edmonton scored 10. Calgary scored 19. BC scored 22 with Nathan Rourke. Now we're back to the beginning of July, but the only team that has been able to score points and move the football with comfort, I would say, and consistency is the Calgary Stampeders, and they've done it with Jake Maier. So is that going to be enough for Winnipeg to say we need help in the defensive backfield?
We shall see, my friend. I mean,
we shall see. Okay, now I don't want to wait anymore.
Okay,
I'm getting into this. It's like Christmas morning.
I know. Hey, so Hanukkah night,
and the people who give us these great prizes.
Ooh, that's a good one. That is a sibling to my beautiful black and silver one here. Yep.
Look at this.
Beauty. That's a beauty.
This. What a beautiful mug with the W. And, of course, officially licensed from TSV, the Sports Vault. But your insulated mug, good for cold drinks, good for warm drinks. Like, awesome. That is such a nice thing. So we're going to give this away today. We need a code word for people to text. What's it going to be?
I think it's got to be chain.
Okay. So text chain and your name. I'll only say it once. 204-816-TIPS, 816-8477. Standard text message rates apply. Just like when you text your mama. You know the deal. As
I don't text my mama. I call my mama. I visit my mama. Well, I invite my mama over.
That's nice. That's really nice. I met your mom-in-law at the Prairie Bash on Friday.
Oh, yeah. Legend. She's a legend. Yeah, well, what if you can't text and you have no phone? That's what Larry Ward is saying.
I can't text, no phone. Oh, okay.
You have telepathy, though, Darren. There's times where you know what I'm thinking, and it's a weird thing,
right?
But
yeah, Larry, you know what? I'll put you in this draw because I do pick randomly. So I got to find a way to contact you though. So you can email me if you want. Email address wpgsports@gmail. Easy one. WPG for Winnipeg, wpgsports@gmail.com. Send us an email if you can't text, but you need the code word and you need your full name.
Yeah.
Don't forget.
Too, Max Raven, or If that's your real name.
Oh,
No,
Phyllis.
I could
Phyllis
tell
missed
you
it.
this is a beauty.
Yeah,
This is a
I
beauty.
got mine from the Grey Cup.
Yeah, I mean, I don't just use this to promote TSV. I love this mug. I take it everywhere. I've
I
washed
use
it
this every day.
several times. Yeah, no, it's good
I
stuff for
wash it and use
TSV.
it again every
Oh,
day.
Mike, Reaper's saying he's got a story about me from my mother-in-law who, yeah, she said, I'm only coming if you buy me a beer. I'm not staying long. And man, she was just,
Now you
she
said you
was
weren't going to
hamming it up.
reveal them, and then you revealed them.
Yeah, well, he already revealed himself there, Darren. I would never reveal someone who didn't want to be revealed. Well, I probably would because I'm kind of a douche sometimes, but
So Phyllis mentioning that she missed the password.
oh yeah,
We
someone
are
put it up
50
there.
minutes into the show, so you can go back on YouTube right around the 45-minute mark. I only want to say it once. Let's not make it too easy on everybody. These are awesome prizes. So appreciate the support from everybody on the channel. Text that code word to 204-816-8477, or if you can't, email wpgsports@gmail.com. Okay, well, hopefully the bots don't invade my email inbox like they do sometimes on the chat here. But yeah, Phyllis has got it. I knew you would get it.
Phyllis gets everything. Oh
Yeah.
yes, and yes. Hey Tasha, what's up? I hope you're making a nice soup. She won one of the prizes from Peak of the Market. My wife was really because I took it home for Tasha because she was walking home, and that prize that Reaper Vixen
That was
and
a huge
Trevor
bag of
Finch put together,
veggies.
they were great prizes. They did a great job. Shout out to them for that Friday night. And Tasha got a giant bag of vegetables from Peak of the Market, and she said, "Can can we arrange something?" And my wife was like, "Can we please keep these? Like, we could do a lot with these veggies." But lo and behold, I dropped it to Tasha because she's a great super fan and she's on the Grey Cup ring. So I just want to be affiliated with her.
So we'll mention the quality of this stuff from the Sports Vault is unbelievable. Like this is
Yeah.
like raised lettering. This isn't like, a cheap decal or something like that.
Yeah.
It's almost like it was like hand painted. It's beautiful. And then of course you can see right there TSV, the Sports Vault, Winnipeg company. You've mentioned it a few times already, Zach. You can find
Yeah.
them at Shoppers Drug Mart, Amazon, Fanatics, the Bomber store, pretty much everywhere you find your officially licensed CFL, NHL, NFL, Major League Baseball merchandise.
And we'll ship it to Thailand, Tao Zen. Trust me, I'll fork it over for that.
Okay,
I'll support you,
Zach,
Steve.
let's get into it as we're approaching the 1 hour mark here on the
Yeah, we
show,
are.
and you are a family man, so staying mindful of that and the time. The Ring of Honor,
Yeah.
and you mentioned this kind of came up in conversation during the Banjo
Steve, it was
Bowl.
a great question, man.
Who would you put into the Blue Bombers Ring of Honor around the stands of IG Field? Who would be there 10 years from today in 2032? Lots of people have already been chiming in, but I think this is a great debate to
Yeah.
have.
Yeah.
Who are your like absolute locks, Zach, to go in the Ring of Honor?
Well, I think despite the recency of the drama of the breakup, you have to put Andrew Harris in the Ring of Honor. There is just absolutely no question. So everybody keeps saying Joe Mack. I love it. It's got to be Andrew Harris, most outstanding Canadian, MVP of the Grey Cup. First time you got the MVP and MOC of the Grey Cup. Just a horse, a guy that put Winnipeg on the map, and we rode him to the 2019 Grey Cup.
Yep.
No question when he came back here in 2016 and really until Kolaris came and we had a real gunslinger, he was our offense. I mean, everything ran through Andrew Harris.
Oh, Zach, did you freeze? What happened to Zach? I hope we didn't lose you, buddy. Well, Zach, if you can hear me, just refresh your browser, come back. We will ensure we get you on. So Zach was mentioning some of those absolute locks for him for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers Ring of Honor. These are my locks, like the guys that will definitely be in there. And I'll start with the ones that are from this era of Winnipeg Blue Bombers football. There he
Am I
is.
back?
You're back.
I was frozen, so I just left and came back. I think the football gods were frowning. They couldn't be frowning on
What
the
did you
Andrew Harris
say?
pick. I don't know. So it's got to it's got to be Andrew Harris. Do you want my other ones?
Yes, fire away.
Okay. So
I'm
Andrew
just getting
Harris
a
is
text here from somebody with the Blue Bombers. We're talking
Oh.
roster, so
Oh,
things are
really?
happening, man.
Like in terms of trades or what?
Mm. I wouldn't put
Interesting.
it past any team. Like good football teams are always on the lookout, right? So if there is a spot in a roster that needs shoring up for depth or to find a veteran to start, they're doing it.
Yeah.
And I think it goes without saying. Like think of Alden
Absolutely.
Darby last year, right?
Oh, and he's been a scratch in Hamilton, Darren. I was shocked. That guy, we talked about it. That guy could have been the Grey Cup MVP. He was so good. I'd love to have Alden Darby back in the blue and gold, buddy.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't know what's happened, how he's been a scratch. I haven't followed Hamilton closely, but wow. Anyway,
He was an
so
all-star in 2021. I will just
yeah,
mention Tamara saying, "You need to tell us, Darren. I can't tell you everything. If I
no, we
tell you
can't.
guys everything, then I will be the well will run dry.
Well,
I
and you
have to
also
keep the water
there's
flowing."
reporter ethics and conventions. You can't reveal sources. Waiters is saying you've called it.
Yeah, right.
So
No.
so it's guys like Andrew Harris that are Ring
Mm,
of Honor guys, right? It's people that are complete game changers in the Canadian Football League who have championships, who have, CFLPA All-Star. So whatever. That I mean, I think that's an obvious one. The other one you look at maybe is not maybe. You look at Stanley Bryant, right? 3 most outstanding lineman awards, 2 Grey Cups, one now and the third with Calgary. He might get
mhm.
another one this year. The guy you could argue maybe has been possibly the most dominant American O lineman in the history of the CFL. He's an Iron Man. He never misses a game. I
No
think
kidding.
you'd see Stanley Bryant on a Ring of Honor, Darren. Would you agree?
I'm gonna give you my list soon.
Okay.
I
The
want your
other
locks. I want your
these are my
guys that
locks.
will be there.
These are my locks.
Let me
The
mark
other
this down. You got Andrew Harris, right?
Harris, I've got Stanley Bryant.
Okay.
I've got Mike O'Shea
Oh, okay.
because just
I didn't even think of O'Shea.
yeah,
I
it's
was
just
thinking players like Bombers players,
no, I because you got Bud Grant up there, right? Like
but he
I
was a
think
player. He played in the CFL.
he did play, but I
But
think
yeah, up there as a coach.
Bob
Yeah.
Irving's up there. Even Wade Miller and Kyle Walters at some point. Just the mafia, they kind of go together.
Mhm.
Um,
But
and
10
I
years from now.
Nah, maybe not 10 years. That's a good point. I don't see them because I think they'll still be doing the same job. But so Stanley Bryant, Andrew Harris, and then the other guy I was thinking of was Adam Bighill.
Mhm.
Uh,
Good choice.
he's got 3 most outstanding defensive players. This is an NFL talent playing in the CFL. He very well should be in the NFL. He should have made the Saints roster. They just have that bias against undrafted guys or guys who are a bit smaller. But and
No, it's
then
because he was 29 and a bubble
well,
guy, right?
and older for sure. But the character of the guy, he moved his family. He's basically an institution. He's a pillar of the community. He's involved in everything. eh, you know, he's just one of those. He's not only a Herb Gray in terms of being a leader, but he's a talent at his age, and he's like just one piece of solid muscle, and is the general in the back in the linebacking core and that whole
Yeah.
defense. So. I think it's all those reasons and has 3 Grey Cups. I think you see Adam Bighill. And that's a guy, you probably see living in Winnipeg 10 years from now, establishing his family and establishing his name. He's big in the business community and volunteers for everything, right? So those are my locks. Then there's the sort of maybe tier,
Well, hang tight.
depending. What?
Hang tight. Let me
Wait,
give you
what?
my locks.
Okay, you give me your locks, not
Okay.
your hair.
So
Locks.
you got Andrew Harris, Stanley Bryant, Mike O'Shea, and Adam Bighill.
Yeah, but let's move. You made a good point. We're talking about 10 years. Um,
Mm.
okay, those are
Okay,
my
well,
locks.
we'll say O'Shea in 20 years.
Sure.
Okay. So you got Harris, Bryant, and Bighill. I'm with you on those three. Uh, First and foremost to me is Adam Bighill. As Max Raven says in the live chat here, watching live on YouTube. What's going on, Max? Good to have you. Bighill is an all-time CFL player.
Yeah.
I think Adam Bighill will go down as one of the greatest this league has ever seen. That all said, as far as his impact on Winnipeg, obviously previous time and a Grey Cup with the BC Lions, but his impact on Winnipeg, I think, is as important, the stuff he does off the field. And I'm not talking about the public appearance stuff that he does. He does do a lot of that. Mike O'Shea, and I've been doing a lot of thinking about this lately. I did a radio interview on CBC with Marjorie
Yes.
Dowhouse, which was
You guys should
awesome.
check it out. It was awesome.
Yeah, it was tons of fun. And it says a lot when CBC is wanting to talk about the CFL at this point. I mean, they don't cover sports a ton, but why are the Bombers winning so much? And I've been thinking a lot about it. We've been thinking about it for years, really, with the back-to-back championships. Mike O'Shea has a self-governance model. He's not in the room talking to guys and barking orders or being a slave driver or something like that. He's not that type of coach.
Yeah.
He has a standard. His veterans understand what that standard is. And then those guys hold their teammates accountable. If you're at work, whatever your job is, white collar, blue collar, in an office, outside, whatever, who are you going to work harder for when you have expectations put in place? Are you going to work for your boss, or are you going to work harder for your teammate, your partner right next to you, the one that's in the trenches with you or in the cubicle next to you or whatever?
Yeah.
The one you got to work with, not for. Aren't you going to work harder for that person? I think that is the culture Mike O'Shea has instilled. It's about going out there and honoring your teammate. Mike O'Shea uses those exact words, honor your teammate. I think that's why it's worked here in Winnipeg. They show up in Winnipeg, wherever they're from, U Sports, NCAA, NFL, whatever. They see FIFO on the wall. They are told what's expected of them. And then they go out there and you either get it done or see you later, the FO part, right? Of FIFO. I really believe Adam Bighill is one of those guys, like just in speaking with Mike O'Shea about Adam Bighill, in speaking with Adam Bighill about who he is and how he is and all of those sorts of things. I think Adam Bighill is an all-time CFL player and an all-time absolute lock. Winnipeg Blue Bombers Hall of Famer and Ring of Honor inductee. Stanley Bryant, NFL caliber talent. As you mentioned, a absolute Iron Man, Cal Ripken of Canadian football. Didn't miss a game for however long it was until that game late in 2021 when they gave the big guy a rest going into the postseason. Stanley, I think, is an absolute lock. Andrew Harris is an absolute lock. Being a Winnipeg native, I think that adds a lot to it as well. Of course, how good he was and how essential he was in the way the Winnipeg Blue Bombers turned their season around or franchise around. And then I've got Willie Jefferson as a lock.
Yeah.
He's just been one of those guys that when you think about the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, you think about Big Willie J. I've got him in, and this is another one I will toss in here for you, Zach, that maybe people will overlook. Justin Medlock.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. He was on my maybe list.
Okay, let's get to your maybe list.
Well, Willie Jefferson was sort of, he was just sort of in between the lock and the maybe. I think you're probably right, though. I think he's just such a unique talent.
Love this. Stravler gets an annex.
Totally. I think he's such a unique talent, Darren, with that 6'7" wingspan, the personality. He's just well loved by everybody in Winnipeg. He's just a fan favorite. he doesn't always get the sack stats because I think he gets double teamed sometimes. Other people get the sacks. The amount of knockdowns and pressures the guy gets, I know they don't count pressures, but Willie Jefferson is an absolute game changer. You saw what he did in the Grey Cups. You saw what he did in the Banjo Bowl, for sure. I would venture to guess he'd be on there, even though he's only been on our team for what? This is his 3rd year.
Mhm.
So, but his ability to not to pick balls off, right? To fake the rush, right? Uh, Go back into the backfield, cover guys. He could do it all. He can do it all.
This is
So,
interesting. Waiters mentioned number
yeah,
85 is unofficially retired. As far as like numbers,
right.
the Bombers will not give to a player. There's 3, is my understanding.
Oh
They
yeah,
will not give to anybody. That's 85
yeah.
for Milt Stegall, 63 for Chris Walby, and
Ah,
11 for Kenny Plain.
Kenny Plain,
Uh, any other numbers that might get honored? And something else too
maybe
is
33.
Friesen was mentioning that neither of us have Zach Kalaris as a lock.
So Zach Collaros is kind of he's sort of on the bubble for me. Like, do I think he'll be a Hall of Fame player? Absolutely. Do I think he'll be a Ring of Honor player? Probably, but I don't know if it's a lock. It's a little bit of a short duration. I
Like, are we
think it
disrespecting the best player in the CFL, the best quarterback in the league?
No, I don't think we're disrespecting him. I think here's my thinking, and this is just subjective. I mean, the guy has a sparkling 29-3 record here, and it should be 30-2, if not for
Right.
a ridiculous miss by Mark Leggio. And he's, he's come back from that, obviously. But yeah, he got us the Grey Cups. Jeff Bose says that without
Yep.
Kolaris, no Grey Cups. That's absolutely true. He is the most talented quarterback, one of them that I've ever seen. People saying he feels like a mercenary or hired gun. Here's what I think. I
What's going
think
on,
if
Bark?
he's I think if he's in Bomber colors for another couple of years and gets us another cup, lock. Even if maybe he doesn't get another cup, but he plays at this level, Darren, and you have this
Yep.
winning percentage, absolute lock. I just think he needs to be on the team for a little bit longer. That's just my sense. So he's one of the guys sort of on the bubble. Jackson Jeffcoat is a guy who's only 30. He agreed to play for the Bombers this year again for less money. The
Mhm.
guy also is an NFL talent, and
Mhm.
I think if he keeps this level up for another 2-3 years, I think you see him maybe as a Ring of Honor guy. And there's something about the Twin Towers there, and I hate to say that, but the Jeffs, right?
Yep.
They kind of go together in a way. They're both from Texas. They're both ridiculously talented.
They're the bookends, right?
They're the bookends. So so there's a guy. I think about guys like Pat Neufeld, who's been here since 2013, who's been an Iron Man. He's been injured here and there, but healthy recently. Jamarcus Hardrick, like the heart and soul of this team has been the running game and the offensive and defensive lines. They build from the inside out. So I
So
think about those guys.
and 2 of my, bubble
Yeah.
guys are Jamarcus Hardrick and Pat Neufeld.
Yeah.
I think those are 2 people that should definitely be considered. I think Zach Kalaris will be there, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of guys like you think of this era, this dynastic
It's
era of Winnipeg
incredible
Blue Bombers
talent.
football, and you have to think of those guys that are like absolute locks,
Yeah.
like Stanley Bryant, Andrew Harris, Adam Bighill. Maybe Medlock is a bit of a bubble.
I don't know about Medlock. I mean, he was here for 4 years. He did at one point have the CFL record for career field goal percentage. He
I
set the
love
record for
yeah,
60 field goals,
I
right?
love this. Miller? Mike
I don't
Miller?
know if you have a Coach O'Shea statue. I think you have a
Really?
Triumvirates, the Canadian Mafia statue. I think you
Yeah.
have a Wade Miller, Kyle Walters, and Mike O'Shea statue. Honest to God.
Yeah, I think statues, that's way down the line,
Jake
right?
Thomas Jake Thomas is a guy that I'd love to see on there, but folks, I think this is just what I picked up from reading the stuff by Ed Tate on the Bombers website. Jake Thomas deserves a lot of accolades, and he's a fan favorite, and he's the longest serving current Bomber, right? This guy
Mhm.
was here in the Joe Mack era.
Yeah.
Is he an all-star? Is he a game changer? I'd love to say he is, but just to be objective, as much as I can be objective wearing this chain, he's not. He's not. I think Justin Medlock's an interesting one. The other one, I think if Dembski, hometown guy, if
Mhm.
he continues at this clip, Darren, for another 2, 3 years and maybe 1, 2 more cups,
Right.
maybe I think he has to win a most outstanding Canadian award, maybe another one in the Grey Cup. I think he could be sort of on that track,
Mhm.
but I think he needs to he needs to continue at that level. Mike Miller is another one. He's a goat.
Yeah.
Again, they you gotta be up there as, like, greatest of all time in some
Can
area, right?
can I tell you a funny story from this
Absolutely.
past so I'm walking up to IG Field in the Banjo Bowl, and, like, it's about 2 hours before kickoff. And, there's some fans, trickling up. They like to kinda wait for their opportunity to get into the stadium first. And I see a couple with Bombers jerseys walking up to the stadium, and I'm kinda walking up beside them, and one of them, the woman is wearing a Miller 24 jersey, a Mike Miller jersey. And I dig into my pocket and I pull out a Bonfire sticker and I say, Mike Miller jersey, that's awesome. You get a Bonfire sticker. And she says, Darren, I'm wearing this jersey probably because of you. And it made me feel so good that I let people know just how good Mike Miller is. And we need to be talking about this guy
Yeah, we do.
more often than we do. He does not get his due. These special teams aces
Yeah.
are the heart and soul of these football teams. And Mike Miller and Jesse Briggs and Shane Gauthier and so many others, Tanner Cadwallader, Retta Cramdy.
Yeah.
These guys don't get talked about pretty much ever.
No.
But for someone like Mike Miller that has been doing it year after year after year and is essentially like a player coach and plays to the level that he does, awesome to see people going out and investing their hard-earned money,
Yeah.
not just on a Bomber jersey, but on getting it customized for the greatest special teamer this league has ever seen in Mike Miller. That was awesome.
That's a great
I was
story,
I was
buddy.
so happy about that. That's the reason I do this job.
Yeah.
That exact reason right there, because I see a football player playing awesome and nobody's talking about him, and I let people know, and then they appreciate
Yeah.
these unsung heroes on the team. So, shout out that young lady and her husband. Get at me. Maybe text the hotline. Let me know.
Yeah.
I want to talk to you some more.
That is absolutely awesome. And at first I thought you were gonna say something about, they liked Miller beer and a 2-4, but no, I actually, I think it was in the first half. He absolutely murdered someone. It must have been Mario Alford in the first half. You call him the killer, right? Which I love. Like, Canadian football, special teams is so important. It really is one of the 3 pillars of the game, right? Offense, defense, special teams. Man, he is just a beauty to watch. Like, you run into that jungle. Everybody's running around with machetes out for blood. You have, like Mike O'Shea talks about it, and you've mentioned it. You have to be a special kind of person to put yourself on the line and just run full speed at each other. And he does it with such patience and
Mhm.
balance and skill. He is just incredible. Yeah, I think. What do you think about the
Can I
fact that
can I just
Charles?
mention to Andrea quickly?
Oh yeah,
Andrea
yeah.
Miller is always on the injured list, and then, a laughing emoji there. True, but it's because he's just not practicing.
He
He's
doesn't need
taking care
to.
of his body to extend his career as long as he can.
Yeah,
Uh, so don't think that he's hurt, right? Everybody's
yeah.
got something in pro football. Mike Miller's just ensuring that he's good to go under the lights on game day. You were saying?
Well, Steve is asking if we can turn section 128 into the Mike Miller fan zone. I'm game.
Love it.
I'm
Love it. Let's
game.
do it.
I'm game. No, people. I want to bring this up. I know we're going way over an hour, but people
We got
talking
more to
about
get
why.
to too.
Well, yeah, but like, why isn't Charles Roberts on the Ring of Honor? Is an interesting one.
That's what I had here too. There are players of the past that still need to go up. Charles Roberts is there. Greg Battle.
Yeah.
I do know this. It not in the case of everybody, okay? But putting players into that Ring of Honor, the Bombers really worked to get the older individuals up there. Again, not the case of everybody,
Yeah.
but many of them or some of them, it's like we got to get them on there now so they and their families can
Fair.
come and enjoy it and celebrate them along with all the Bomber fans. So I think there are still guys from the 80s and 90s that will be in that ring.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a good point, buddy. That's a good
Yeah.
point. Yeah, you think about Rod Hill, right? Larry
Right.
Ward putting that up.
Terry
James
Tuttle.
West. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's, and part of me is thinking like, are we picking too many guys from one team, one, a few years of a team? But when you're a dynasty, I think,
Yeah.
it's well deserved. There's just so many guys. You think of Brandon Alexander, maybe if he remains healthy for a few more years and continues to be a captain on that defense.
Tyrone Jones.
Yeah. Those guys were just
But
unbelievable.
as Friesen mentions, Greg Battle, Tyrone Jones, James West, like that was a ridiculous trio of linebackers.
Les
Cole
Brown
Colby talks about
was
that all the
great.
time.
Yep.
Okay.
Les Brown. I mean, there were so many.
Yep.
Yeah.
James Murphy says the pavement ends now. Watching on
And
YouTube.
another one, an interesting one is Javon Johnson. Someone had him on the chat, and he was electric for like he dominated the kick return, and he won most outstanding defensive player, the first one and only one in
Albert
my
Johnson the
knowledge
third.
as a DB. Darren, I think that's something, a fan favorite, and continued to have a productive career after the Bombers unceremoniously let him go.
Yeah. I think Cal
It's an
Murphy will
interesting
get
one.
in there eventually, but he's already got a statue, right?
Yeah.
And posthumously, I mean, all due respect, those individuals, there's no real rush on, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
To the point earlier, like the Ring of Honor is like that game is their game. Like that big rain delay game. Remember that with like Chris Streveler starting and took hours and hours. I was on TSN radio till like 1:30 in the morning that night. That's the Milt Stiegel game, right?
Yes.
That
Yeah,
famous picture of his
2016.
kids, they're like crashed in the stands, like sleeping in the stands, because that game was so long. You can't leave when it's the Milt Stiegel game, right? So, anyway,
Yeah.
awesome debate. Love everybody chiming in here. Like this one too from Dark Moon,
Yeah.
Danny Mac.
Yeah, both as a
Ooh.
player and as a
Some of these builders,
management. Some of these
O'Shea,
builders.
Kyle Walters, Wade Miller. It'll be
Just
interesting to
speaking,
see how that all shakes
just
out.
one thing, like a one
Few
historical
years.
nugget. I was talking to Roy Rosmus. I picked up some of his books for our prize bin on Friday, and he said, we always talk about the Canadian Mafia sort of copying what Calgary did in their dynasty to be successful, which I think we could all sort of agree on, right? I don't think we're exactly the same
The
as
Calgary
Calgary.
model?
Yeah, the Calgary
Well,
models.
that's literally what Mike O'Shea and Kyle
Yeah,
Walters have always said. They
right.
wanna be in the playoffs every year.
Yeah, and win the West, so it's, you're one game and you're in, right? You're not going to win every Grey Cup, but just the culture, the excellence, the work habits, right? You never saw drama from Calgary very often, and we don't see it here. But what Roy told me, which I'd never thought of, was that, where did Calgary get that? Where did John Hufnagel get that model? He argues that John Hufnagel got it from Winnipeg in their 80s dynasty,
Mm,
right? Which I thought was super interesting. I'd never
right,
thought about it
Cal and
that
then
way,
Mike
but it's,
Riley. Yeah.
yeah, you sort of see it as like Winnipeg. We just think of like it's Calgary to Winnipeg, sort of passing the mantle as the marquee franchise. Really, maybe it's like Winnipeg, Calgary sandwiched in the middle back to Winnipeg now, which I just thought was an interesting thing
That
that Roy
is.
mentioned. Yeah. Anyway, we could go on and on. I mean, I think we should continue this debate, and shout out to Steve in section 128, now known as the Mike Miller Fan Zone.
The Killer Zone.
The Killer Zone. I think we will continue this debate and maybe chime in on Twitter, folks. It's a fun one.
Go check out Joe Daly's. These cards are awesome. Jesse Briggs, one of those unsung heroes. Patty could be in the ring one day.
Yep.
This guy doesn't get enough respect for how good he is.
He is really, really good.
Chad Rempel.
Hey, ex-Bomber. And he tried to be a comedian too, apparently.
Oh, he's a renaissance man. He can kind of do a little bit of everything. Shout out Chad Rempel if you're watching. Be sure to head to sia.com/bonfire if you haven't yet. Sign up there. You get a great 100% bonus and up to $500. So if you deposit, they'll double it, and much more usable funds as far as placing bets in the coming 6 weeks or whatever it is, compared to some of the other sports books out there. But you can bet CFL props and futures, NFL, NHL, you name it. Go check them out. Sports Interaction, a Canadian casino, so helping to support a local Indigenous group in Canada as well. sia.com/bonfire. Couple things we'll tidy up just as we wrap up here, Zach. Dane Evans would not speak specifically to whether or not he will start on Saturday in Hamilton against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, but he is back. He does say he feels better, has been a full participant at practice. Last week, he was the third stringer and would only throw with his non-throwing shoulder on the sidelines. So he was really resting that right shoulder that's been nagging him. We continue to watch on as far as who might start for the Ticats, but watch that line. It's come down on sia.com/bonfire. I think it started about 8.5 or 9. It's now down to 7.5. Appreciate this too, Scott Roger. This weekend, the Rifles road trip. Edmonton Huskies are winless on the season. Winnipeg in a deadlock 4-way tie for second place in the best conference in junior football in Canada, the PFC, Prairie Football Conference. They're taking on the Wildcats. They return home the following week to host the 4-0, as of right now, Regina Thunder at IG Field. So Sunday after this one, 1:00, be there, riflesfootball.com. Be sure to check that out. We got a new website coming too. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Follow them on social media at Rifles Football, all your channels. What about the NFL, Zach? Do we want to peel back the mystique?
Yeah, I was going to just do an update on our Bonfire pick'em and fantasy, but I'll just tweet that. It hasn't changed much. Ryan Harris just dominating. Yeah, let's get to it, buddy. Let's talk some NFL.
Yeah, so new to Bonfire right now is we're going to be talking NFL football, and we may make it part of Bonfire Midweek, but we'll also make it available on its own via podcast and on YouTube. We'll get we're tight for time, obviously.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to figure out that moving forward, but we're really looking forward to talking some NFL football here and helping you guys watch the games more educatedly, and also who we like in our NFL picks on sia.com/bonfire. There's tons of games you can play there as well, including like an NFL pick'em every week. You just kind of pick your winners, and you can win like tons of prizes, tons of cash, and other stuff there. So yeah, Andre Sousa saying NFL after dark. Yeah, well, we'll see. You
Sorry,
never know
Tasha. If it's not your cup of tea, we'll see you next time. No worries from us.
Yeah, no worries.
Why not like both leagues? It's great football.
Football's great. Football's great. Whether it's junior football or U Sports or CFL or NFL or whatever. We'll be. It's worth taking in. It's just fun stuff. Gregory, what date is the Rifles game? Go to riflesfootball.com and you will see the full schedule there. But playing their final 2 games of the regular season. in the big house, the Madhouse on Matheson IG Field. Yeah, well, do you want to leave it there, Zach? I
Well,
suppose we'll have to.
well, I got a little bit of time. We could talk a little NFL.
Okay, well, there is a Thursday nighter coming up here. Chiefs hosting Chargers.
Yeah, so
And
this was actually my pick 'em, or
you
this was
talk
my
about
pick.
quarterbacks,
Oh
man.
my god.
Like Herbert
Mahomes.
Patrick Mahomes, like,
Yeah,
man, this is going to be an awesome game on the Thursday nighter. Currently sitting at Chiefs by 4
yeah.
on the point spread on SIA.com/bonfire. Over under is 54. Now, I don't know if
I would take
scoring
the
is
over.
hugely down this year, but that's a big number.
I don't know, man, like, the points that those guys could put up in, mere minutes, unbelievable. So this was, we talked about picks that this is my pick of the week right here. The Chiefs are at home. They obliterated Arizona on the road. Mahomes throws for 5 touchdowns without Tyreek Hill, right? We all wondered how that Chiefs machine would work
Mhm.
without Tyreek Hill, and I know our buddy Hustler is just loving what he saw. I think I would take the Chiefs at home. I think Keenan Allen is out. He's a big cog in the offense of the Chargers. And possibly I heard JC Jackson is out, who's a good DB for the
Mhm.
Chargers. I think they can withstand that pass rush, and I think they're just so creative and they're just hitting on all cylinders. And I think Andy Reid probably in the off season he just comes up with different plays that you've never seen. He's just a genius, and probably for the first couple of games in the season, you're just going to see things that people haven't seen. The classic one for me is when they're in the red zone, Darren,
Yeah.
and it's like you have no idea what they're gonna do, and the one play that I just think is just so schmaltzy, as we say in Yiddish, but it works. Mahomes gets the ball, he starts to bootleg. You think he's gonna run it in or he's gonna throw it on the bootleg, and then he just goes the other way and just flips it underhanded to whoever's right there. And it's
Yeah.
like, how do you stop that? Right? So I just see the
You
Chiefs
can't
at
scheme
home.
for it.
No, I see the Chiefs at home. They're firing on all cylinders. They've got Valdez Scantling, they got Smith Schuster to fill in for Tyreek Hill, and I just think they're just a big red machine right now. And I think they're going to take it by more than 4. I think the Chargers will definitely put up a good fight. They beat the Raiders last week, but that's where I'd go for my pick on SIA.
So I've got 2 picks I really, really like this week, and I'm just looking at the Monday nighter. I mean, uh, Tennessee at Buffalo, 10 points. The Bills are favored in that one.
Yeah,
I wouldn't touch that one at all.
yeah.
Eagles favored by 2 at home to a very popular team in this part of the country, Zach, the Minnesota Vikings. But my 2 picks are the oh, I lost it here. Hang on a second. Oh, yes. Carolina Panthers coming off a tough loss in at home. They are 2-point dogs in New York against the Giants. I like
Mm,
Carolina to cover that game. And then my other one was Arizona. They're 5.5-point dogs in Vegas to
hmm,
take on the Raiders, a battle of the desert or a desert duel, if you will. I like Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals to cover 5.5
mhm.
points in Vegas. So those are
They'll
my 2.
bounce back, eh? And
Pardon
and
me?
Dare I think they'll bounce back, right? They're a talented team with Kyler Murray, and I don't know what I think of the Raiders so far. Derek Carr is kind of like he's a guy that I just can't quite figure out. Is this guy a good quarterback? Is he just average? He's a smaller guy. Uh,
No, he's tiny.
yeah, right. Like is this guy like? And you can be tiny like Russell Wilson, but you can run. By the way, what did you think of that what was it, 68-yard field goal on 4th and 5? How
Somebody
much
mentioned
time
somebody
how much
mentioned it
time
reminded
was
them of
left on the clock?
yeah, it reminded them of Mike O'Shea
Oh,
kicking the
yeah.
field goal against
Yeah, he
BC,
was he
right?
was feeling his oats there. Yeah, I remember
Um,
that.
I don't understand how Russell Wilson and the Denver Broncos
Yeah.
get the ball with 4 minutes and then they just like bleed it and piss it away and can't even get into a position to kick a makeable field goal. I understand Brandon McManus is a excellent kicker. Like he's a Justin Medlock type kicker in the NFL. Uh, Anytime you're booting it above 60, your percentage is going to be low. He can kick that distance, but this game was in Seattle, not Denver.
Yeah.
And I understand McManus has a better field goal percentage on the road than he does at home, which is interesting, especially when you play at home. Home is mile high. But the offensive play calling of the Denver Broncos was atrocious. And I think that's the biggest thing they got to figure out. Jerry Jeudy, strong two-headed monster run game. Defensively, I think they had their hands full with Geno Smith and the
Did that
Seattle Seahawks.
surprise you? Because the last time I saw Geno Smith, he was garbage.
Well, he's been on 4 teams, right? And I loved how the broadcast mentioned that he was in New York as a first round pick, then
Yeah.
went to the Giants
Yeah.
and backed up Eli Manning, went to the Chargers, backed up Philip Rivers, and then went to Seattle and backed up Russell Wilson. All Hall of Fame or Hall of Fame caliber quarterbacks.
Right.
So for him to now take over and play the way he did, I think that's awesome. I think
That's a great story. I was shocked.
7
How
to
much
7
how
before he threw
much
the
time
interception.
was left when they kicked that field goal? It wasn't a walk-off because they had time on a 4th and
No.
5, right?
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? And you think
They
about
had 4 minutes. They had 4 minutes when they got the ball, and they pissed it
yeah.
away.
And Brandon McManus, you think, okay, he can kick 60-yard field goals. Well, if you're kicking it at mile high where the air pressure is so low, is very different than right at sea level at Lumen Field in Seattle. Like, that's a
Mhm.
very different kick. Uh,
Yes, it is.
I was shocked to see that replay after, man. 30 seconds left, Waiter says, you got 4th and 5 with Russell Wilson. He can run the ball. He can bootleg. Whatever. There's so many options, right?
Yeah.
It's actually kind of ironic that Russell Wilson lost because of poor offensive play calling in Denver, which is one of the reasons he left Seattle because Pete Carroll was just so stubborn running the ball and playing conservatively. They always said, let Russ cook, right? And then they did at the beginning of last year, and he was hitting Metcalf and those guys for huge gains. And then for some reason in the second half of the season, they just pulled back. They start running conservative offense. And I think that's why Russell Wilson left Seattle. And then you see the same thing in the Broncos. Sad for him because he's an
My
all-world talent.
my favorite sight of that game was the person in the stands in Seattle that had the sign that said, "Let's cook Russ." Love that. Love that. Okay, Zach, let's put a bow on this one. Final thoughts as we wrap up Bonfire Midweek here on the channel. Of course, pregame coverage Friday at 3 with Chris Walby. You and I will have game day after dark following Bombers, Ticats, and a matinee game. What is that? A 4 o'clock Central?
I
That's
think
a
it's
3 p.m.
3.
3 p.m. Central Time kickoff in Hamilton.
It's not the middle of winter, so it actually won't specifically be an after dark game. I gotta figure this one out because it's 3 o'clock. The kids are awake. My son gets up from his nap. I gotta figure out how to navigate that one
Ooh
and
boy.
do the post game, but we'll the Schnitzer family will figure that one out. We're flexible people. And I'm interested in this game. I mean, it has all the makings of a trap game after you have a big emotional win in the Banjo Bowl, Darren. O'Shea would not mince words. He gave the Hamilton defense specifically credit on the coaching show. And, you're going against Orlando Steinhauer. They have a good defense. I don't know who's playing quarterback. I think that O-line has just been decimated. I don't know. I feel like this could be an absolute boat race by the Bombers, or it could maybe be a closer game than we think. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure what to expect in this one because Hamilton does have some really good players on defense. You think about Tunde Adeleke and those guys, right?
Right. Javan Santos Knox, Cameron
Yeah,
Kelly at dime back is a
Kelly. Yeah,
heck of a good football player. Of course, they're still without Simone Lawrence, who's
Simone
on the
Lawrence is
6-game
out,
injured
and
list for
Carriel
months.
Brooks might be out, and I think he's a really good player. So,
Yep.
I think we win. I don't know how much we win by, but I I don't know. It's a bit of a mystery for me, this
Well, here's
Ticats
the
team.
thing. If Dane Evans does not start, make sure you're already signed up and ready
Yeah.
to go with a deposit in your account,
Yeah,
sia.com/bonfire.
absolutely.
Hammer that one
Oh,
if
yeah.
Dane Evans is a no-go. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be a good football game one way or the other because it is a rematch of the last two Grey Cups between the Bombers and the Ticats. Looking forward to that one. People want the bonfire hats. I don't blame you.
We gotta
They
figure this
are
out.
they are nice.
Even my
We'll get it
wife
going.
likes this hat on me, dude.
Really?
Oh, yeah,
A
she's like,
wife
"That's a
likes
really
her
nice
husband in a
hat."
hat.
Yeah, no, she says this is a really nice hat. So, we gotta figure
We're
that
gonna
out.
get some stuff cooking this winter, I promise. So keep it
Yeah.
locked here to the channel. We got Jets hockey coming. We've got NFL coming. We've got your Bombers coverage as always here on the channel, and it's going to be a very fun fall and start to the hockey season. Like, talk about a critical 2 months or maybe even 1 month for the Winnipeg Jets. Training camp gets going next week. Head over to our Instagram page right now. You can hear from Chaz Lucius, Brad Lambert, and Cole Perfetti, three of the Winnipeg Jets first round picks over the last couple seasons. Rutger McGroarty, not in Winnipeg, their other first round pick from 2022. Yeah, the next gen of Jets talent, and Perfetti effectively will be the current gen of Jets forward talent, very likely to be in the top six. But our Instagram, bonfire.sports, go over there right now and be sure to what do they say? You subscribe, you follow, whatever. Get into our
Yeah.
IG. Slide
Dude,
into
you
the
do it. You
DMs.
do. I don't know if people know that you're a writer for NHL.com. Like, you're big into the Jets. So people who love the Jets here too, check this stuff out, and Darren's gonna be continuing that stuff into the winter. Sans myself, I am no hockey expert. I can't even freaking skate. But I look forward to that stuff. I am a fan, so that's awesome, buddy. I do want to say, if Brandon Alexander does come and play
Mhm.
this week, it's super cool that he comes back in Hamilton, where he got injured in the Grey Cup and just battled through it. It would be great to see him
Full
back.
circle, right?
Yeah, full circle. Great to see him back in the lineup. It is the Hall of Fame game, so it's Scott baseball
I
never.
like that.
Unless somehow my
Baseball, I don't
son
like baseball.
unless my son mysteriously takes up baseball, and then of course I'll become a fan. I don't know. I don't see it, but I think it'll be great to see Alexander. I think you just get a cheer right there from all the fans. He's a fan favorite, and I'd love to see him back up on the lineup. And also Michael Couture on the
Yes.
road, get that run game going, pound the football with Brady Oliveira, and let's see them go to 13-1 here.
Yeah, how about that? If I mean, Calgary, BC, we'll see how that game shakes out. The Bombers need to win and have Calgary lose for Winnipeg to secure a home playoff game. But you know, don't get over anxious. It will happen eventually. This Bombers team is not going to let their foot
Matter
off the
of
gas.
time. No.
They got a bye week coming up after this game against Hamilton, and then home again for the Riders to come to town on Friday, September 30th. So we look towards those games. Andre, to answer your question, do you play Brandon Alexander half the game? No, I don't think so. You play him when he's ready to play, and then he's the guy. Safety is a very important position. Brandon Alexander, a very important player and heady mental leader as well. He's essentially going to be that quarterback of the defense, him and Adam Bighill. So I don't expect them to do that. But this was fun, Zach. More cards from Joe Daly. I hate showing Cody so much, but
Yeah.
that's the
Hey,
pack.
Cody played well in the banjo ball. I'll give him credit. He was on point.
Yeah, and congrats on the new baby, Cody.
Yep. Yeah.
These are the dudes.
Oh, I love
Special
Jesse
teams.
Briggs, buddy.
Don't look past it. It's the best part of the CFL in a lot of ways, in my opinion. Okay, so more NFL, more Jets hockey coming. We have got the prize giveaway. Congrats once again to Reed Maddox and Jason Gilmore. It was Reed Maddox whose father's birthday it is. If you guys are listening or watching,
That's awesome,
text the
Reed.
hotline.
Yeah.
Well, I've been texting you already, so be sure to do that. Waiters, if you're still out there, text me, man. I got a question for you. 816-8477-204-816-TIPS. And on that note, I suppose we'll just put a bow on this one, Zach.
Absolutely, my friend. Nice to see everybody. I will continue to wear this chain. I also am wearing it around the house to just, piss off the people in my family and get a few laughs. And
all your kids probably like it.
Oh, they love the chain. My son would rip this in half. So
Look
not
like the
really
junkyard dog.
Yeah, oh yeah, he's just an animal. But yeah, just love this, guys. Love to see you all. Thanks for sticking around for some NFL talk. We love the NFL as well. And we will see you post game, not quite after dark on Saturday, baby.
Yeah.
And of course, you got to watch the Big Bluto, the legend, Chris Walby, the pregame. He's always got great stuff to say as well as so do you, Darren. So do you, buddy.
Maybe I got some things to say. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate you all joining us in the live chat. Be sure to like the video below, subscribe, and consider doing that. Ring the bell, and then you'll know when we're live. We'll see you next at 3:00 on Friday, post game with Zach here on the channel. Have a great night, everybody. See you next time.